July 2022 meeting to order. And I'd like to first ask the board to approve our virtual procedures for today. So a motion to adopt the new procedures for today's meeting has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll go to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
Approve.
Paul?
Approve.
Helen?
Approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 2, approval of the minutes from our June meeting. Motion to approve has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll move to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Abstain.
We'll note Francois was not part of that portion of the meeting previously. Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Abstain.
Roosevelt?
Approve.
Paul?
Approve.
Helen?
Approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Okay. The motion carries 6-0 with 2 noted abstentions. Item 3, a motion to approve 131 pension applications and 100 withdrawal applications has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
Approve.
Paul?
I approve.
Kellen?
I approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. Moves us into section 4. 4A, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefit for Dennis Ferry has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
I approve.
Paul?
I approve.
Kellen?
I approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. 4B, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Robert F. Nayless has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
I approve.
Paul?
Approve.
Helen?
I approve.
And Carol?
I approve.
Motion carries unanimously. 4C, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Terrell Owens has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
I approve.
Paul?
Approve.
Kellen?
I approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. 4D, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Rosa Felice has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the pending motion? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian?
I'll abstain.
Francois?
Deny.
Vanessa?
Being given.
I'm sorry, Vanessa, I didn't hear you. On 4D.
I'm sorry, technology problems.
That's
On
okay.
4D, Rosa Felice, deny.
Thank you. Marcia?
Deny.
Roosevelt?
Abstain.
Paul?
Deny.
Kellen?
Deny.
and Carol.
Abstain.
The motion fails 0-5 with 3 noted abstentions. 4E, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Linda Hetherington has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian,
I'll abstain.
Francois,
Deny.
Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
Abstain.
Paul,
Abstain.
Helen,
Deny.
and Carol.
Abstain.
The motion fails 0-4 with 4 noted abstentions. 4F, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Sharon Bentley has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this pending motion? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian,
Sorry about that. I'll abstain.
thanks, Brian. Francois,
Deny.
Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
Abstain.
Paul,
Abstain.
Helen,
Deny.
and Carol.
Abstain.
The motion fails 0-4 with 4 noted abstentions. 4G, a motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Lisa Coleman has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll call. Brian,
I approve.
Francois,
I think I approve. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I missed something. No, deny.
okay. Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
I approve.
Paul,
Approve.
Helen,
I approve.
and Carol.
Approve.
Motion carries 5-3. 4H, a motion to approve the application for service-connected disability benefits for Christine Rocks has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this pending motion? Go to the roll. Brian,
I approve.
Francois,
Approve.
Vanessa,
Approve.
Marcia,
Deny. I'll approve. I'm sorry.
Roosevelt,
I approve.
Paul,
I approve.
Helen,
I approve.
and Carol.
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. That moves us into old business and case 5A. A motion to approve the service-connected disability benefits for Susan Pollock has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this pending motion? Hearing none, I'll go to the roll. Brian,
I approve.
Francois,
Deny.
Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
I approve.
Paul,
I approve.
Helen,
I approve.
and Carol.
Approve.
The motion carries 5-3. 5B, a motion to rescind or change the drop enrollment date for Brandy Ellerby has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, Brian,
Deny.
Francois,
Deny.
Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
I deny.
Paul,
I deny.
Helen,
Deny.
and Carol.
Deny.
The motion fails 0-8. 5C, a motion to approve the application for service-connected disability beyond the 1-year deadline for Gerald Dumbecki was made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item?
Jackie, I'm sorry, just, it's not to approve the service-connected disability, it's to approve the ability to apply
I'm
beyond the
sorry.
one-year deadline.
Thanks, Fran. I'll clean up my, the motion. So, motion to approve, the ability to apply for the service-connected disability beyond the 1-year deadline for Gerald Dumbecki was made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian,
I approve.
Francois,
Approve.
Vanessa,
Approve.
Marcia,
Approve.
Roosevelt,
I approve.
Paul,
I approve.
Kellen,
I approve.
and Carol.
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously. 5D, a motion to approve the application for, the motion to approve the application to apply for service-connected disability beyond the 1-year deadline for Charles Minus has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this pending motion? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll. Brian,
Deny.
Francois,
Deny.
Vanessa,
Deny.
Marcia,
Deny.
Roosevelt,
Deny.
Paul,
Deny.
Helen,
Deny.
and Carol.
Deny.
The motion fails 0-8. Is there any other old business before the board? That moves us,
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that moves us into section 6, the pension disqualification case. And before I read the motion, I'd like to ask if any trustees would like a brief summary from the law department.
Sure.
Yes.
Ellen, you're on mute.
Mr. Nordo was a City of Philadelphia homicide detective who was convicted on June 1st of 18 counts of various offenses committed in office, several of which are enumerated offenses under the State Forfeiture Act. And accordingly, the law department has recommended that he be disqualified from receiving his pension. Mr. Nordo separated from the city at the time of his arrest, and he has been receiving a pension, and so there are no contributions, and withholding them is not an issue for the board.
Thank you,
Any
Ellen.
other questions?
So did he withdraw down his pension contributions or he's receiving a monthly pension?
He's been receiving his pension since 2017. And I was pretty certain that by this point there would be no contributions left, but I did confirm with Shahid Lloyd and there are absolutely none left.
But he's still receiving the pension, though, right?
Correct.
Okay, okay. And none of his contributions are left, but he's getting the monthly pension.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, thank you. That's good. All right.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Ellen. A motion to approve the pension disqualification for Philip Nordo was made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go to the roll call. Brian,
I approve.
Francois,
Approve.
Vanessa,
Approve.
Marcia,
Approve.
Roosevelt,
Approve.
Paul,
I approve.
Helen,
I approve.
and Carol.
Approve.
The motion carries unanimously, and that moves us into new business and the executive director's report.
Good morning, everyone. You'll see in your folders the Business and Education Conferences report. I'm still saying folders. I guess you'll see in your electronic files. the Business and Education Conference report for the second quarter. Also, since we have a lot to cover in DC and investments, I'll just briefly, the PPA has agreed to join the 457 plan that happened several weeks ago. The transition has begun between the PPA nationwide and the city. Jim has been attending the transition weekly meetings just to ensure that there's no compliance issues. And the time frame provided to us was somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 16 weeks. That was as a couple of weeks ago. So we will be updating the board as those weekly status meetings continue, and they are ongoing. The virtual retirement program seminars kicked off on July 19th. It was coordinated by Shamika Leonte and Brad Nice with multiple pension staff and others attending. The Don, the new certified financial planner for Nationwide, participated. There were over 297 people who registered for the event. There were over 200 attendees. I was on there. Chris was on there providing investment information also, and it was excellent sharing of information by everyone who participated. And we also give the participants an opportunity to provide feedback and just to see where things may be improved going forward. And I will say that the feedback was excellent. So congratulations to especially to the planning committee of Shamika Leonte and Brad Nice. Excellent work by everyone on that. And the tech enhancements, we are in the early stages of investigating options for enhancing the technology at the Board of Pensions. We are looking at various things, but we will keep the board abreast of everything as we move forward on a step-by-step manner. We are assembling a team of experts from various fields, again, to verify and to do quality control as we continue to investigate this. Again, it's in the very early stages, but we will keep the board in the loop, as we move forward on this. So that's really everything that I have to report this month.
Great. Thank you, Fran.
Yeah, Fran, I have a question of Fran's report. So
Go ahead,
Fran, does that question, so because I've been getting a lot of phone calls and stuff like that about the time it's taken for people to receive their pension check or whatever, and some other issues we've been dealing with as far as drop dates and stuff like that. Have you and the staff considered doing something like DocuSign doing electronic services for pension application? I mean, to go into to retire. I'm sorry. I'm like you now. It's like, ugh, I felt like I had a drink. I don't even drink, y'all, so But doing DocuSign and doing electronic filing of retirement paperwork and stuff like that. Have we looked at that?
Yes,
Or considered that?
Yes, we have. In fact, we've met twice with the DocuSign representatives and the OIT representatives to try to incorporate that into what we do. We do accept information electronically. People can sign it and email it back to the counselors. So we are doing that. As far as our appointments, people are here largely full-time, especially the counselors, and the time that someone separates to the time they get an appointment is between 2 to 2.5 weeks. So we are back on a very good time frame concerning that. But yeah, we are looking at DocuSign and other electronic means for those who don't want to come into the office, for those who want to make the process as effortless as possible as far as making appointments and having bulky paperwork administered. So yeah, all of that, Carol, is what we're looking at. All of that, yes.
And are we still allowing people to do paper checks?
No, we're not. As of boy, I'm going to ballpark that to about 7 years ago. We are everyone, all new retirees were required to be direct deposit. I'm going to say that our direct deposit is actually higher than the city payroll. I'm going to say it's probably around 96, 90, somewhere around that percentile. I might be off a little bit, but it's slightly higher than the city payroll.
Okay, and I guess the next question, Jackie, is probably for Rob or you, and I said, so people's terminal pay, they say they're getting a paper check, they can't get direct deposit? But that's just, I mean, you can let me know later. I just wanted to, you might not know the answer to that question.
Okay, we'll take that back, Carol, and get back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Fran. That's what I wanted to thank
You're
you.
welcome. Oh, Carol, I should add that Val Hayes from the City Payroll Department was also a presenter at the virtual seminar, and I know she did talk about termination pay. So I think Jackie probably will go through that payroll department to get the answer, and she'll let you know offline and let the board members know the answer to your question.
Yeah, so because what I'm hearing from employees is that they either have to go into their department and pick up their terminal pay or their last, they day's pay, or either it gets mailed to them. And I just thought that was kind of strange since they're already on direct deposit getting the paycheck through direct deposit. Why couldn't it just continue through direct deposit?
Sure. We'll check in with payroll, Carol. They administer the direct deposit and the separation of employees.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so we'll make sure that we get you the right answer.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other new business for the board? Okay, that moves us into the litigation summary.
No updates.
Very efficient, Ellen. Thank you. Okay. A motion to adjourn has been made and seconded, and hearing no objections, motion carries unanimously, and we'll move into the deferred comp plan portion of the meeting. The first item is the approval of the minutes. So a motion to approve minutes from our meeting has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll do the roll call. Brian?
I approve.
Francois?
I approve.
Vanessa?
I approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
I approve.
Paul?
I approve.
Helen?
I approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Motion carries unanimously, moves us into item 2, the plan update and activity report. And I'll just note that I'm signing out of the meeting and Rob will chair at this point. Thank you.
See you, Jack.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rob.
I know this is a downgrade from Jackie,
Morning,
but
Rob.
I'll try. Agenda item 2, the information update.
Nationwide. Just one investment update, the performance report will be provided at next month's meeting for the second quarter. And Nationwide will present the update followed by the managed accounts presentation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I can't tell who, but someone, there's a lot of background noise. So if everyone can turn off their mics if they're not speaking, that would be great.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
As of June 30th, the ending balance in the deferred compensation plan was $1,575,999,038.82. That's 4% less than the month of May. Total participants with account balance, excuse me, is 24,568. That's 4 less than the previous month. Actively deferring is 19,178. That's 3 less, and almost 78% of participants that have an account balance is actively contributing into the plan. In the month of June, 85 enrollments were received year to date. As of second quarter, the plan has received 569 new enrollments to date. That's about 7% less than the previous year. Inactive participants is 5,390. That's one less than the month of May. In the 401A plan, as of June 30th, the ending balance is $1,686,106.51. That's about 6% less than the month of May. 850 participants, 4 less than the month of May. In terms of call volumes handled in the month of June, our Solution Center handled 3,320 phone calls. That's an increase of 286 phone calls than last month. There are now a total of 17,821, or almost 73% of participants that have set up an online account. This is really important because by having an online account, the participants can leverage the planning tools like My Interactive Retirement Planner, as well as the detailed income view, which allows them to see how they're going to be the sources that they would be receiving during retirement. In terms of percentage options, there are 1,172 participants contributing in the percentage. That's 18 more than the month of May. And regarding the after-tax contributions, which is the Roth 457, as of June, there are 4,661 participants. That's an increase of 85 more than the previous month. Total plan assets are at 22.2 million. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If not, we'll pass it on to Brad to discuss the service summary report. Brad?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Bina. So in the month of June, the local team did 65 individual one-on-one consults, which resulted in 52 enrollments. There were 6 new employee orientations. 21 of those individual consultations were conducted using the My Interactive Retirement Planner. We did a total of 7 group events and workshops, both virtual and in person, with 138 attendees to those sessions. I do want to echo real briefly what Fran said, the work done by, pension staff, Kamika, and setting up that retirement seminar. It was a great seminar that we participated in. It was really well done, finished exactly on time. It was a great event. And with that, with Don, our new CFP being on board, we are restarting the Deferred Comp Educational Webinar Series. The first one will be Retirement 101 on August 6th. I checked this as of this morning. We have 301 registrants for that session. So we're obviously not every one of them will attend, but we're hoping that it will get some good attendance, and we'll be running 1 session a week during the month of August. See how those go, but I think the appetite is there, and we should have some really good attendance for those sessions.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah, Frank.
Brad, if I could also add, I think it would be derelict of me not to mention it. Marcia, I want to thank you and your group for putting the occasional reminders in various forms of communication, whether it's email or other things. I don't know when they're going in, but I notice them from time to time where they say, hey, deferred comp, we'll have this, we'll have that. So that's helpful getting that message out to the larger population of employees. So I didn't want that to go unmentioned. So thanks, Marcia, for arranging that.
You're welcome. We've been partnering with Deferred Comp, and as we know of seminars, et cetera, we will place them in our monthly newsletter. So yes, thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, 100%. Thank you very much, Marcia. It definitely helps us get the word out and gets those employees able to register and attend the events. So I want to take just a brief minute. As you all know, we've had some staff turnover in the Deferred Comp office. So starting on Monday, we brought a new retirement specialist on board. His name is Sean McDonald, and He is born and raised in the city of Philadelphia and attended the University of Pittsburgh, Fran. He has a passion for helping folks, plan for their retirement and overall general education. He started on Monday, was his first day. So he's on the call, and Sean, if you wouldn't mind, popping on it and saying hi to everybody.
Definitely. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We got you.
Yep, I can hear you.
Excellent.
Yes.
So just definitely looking forward to actually helping a lot of the city workers. I'm very excited. I'm definitely enjoying my first day, learning a lot. So I'm definitely looking forward to starting helping. So
Great, thank you and welcome.
thank you.
Thank you very
Yes,
much, Sean. We're really excited to have Sean on board. We have also made we have an accepted offer of our another retirement specialist. Her name is Christina Gibson. She'll be starting in the month of August. So as it stands right now, the plan is to introduce her at the August meeting. And at that point, I believe, hopefully, crossing my fingers, we will be fully staffed in the deferred comp office.
Great, thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
I have one question for Brad. Brad, I noticed the numbers for the streets department. Do you think that some of those numbers, when you're having the seminars and streets, also include DC 33 employees? I'm thinking perhaps they do.
So I'm trying to think back, Marcia. So we go to streets labor orientations. It is possible that some of those laborers also are included in the DC 33 number as well. I do not, when I report to the board, I do not segregate out and say, okay, I saw these people at streets, therefore I'll take them out of the DC 33 number. I include everybody that attended the session.
Okay, and that's fair. That's a fair point, I think. But thank you for continuing to go to DC 33. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you so much for helping us, arrange that. DC 33 is doing 2 new employee orientations a month. We're attending both. The next couple, Sean's going to go over with me, so we can kind of show him how all that works. And we're looking forward to it. Thank you again, Marcia.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the activity report? Okay, let's move to agenda item 3, the nationwide managed account presentation.
Yeah, Rob, can I just jump in for a second? I actually have to leave the meeting, so I know Diana's on, so she's going to be taking over for me.
Okay, thanks, Francois.
I got
Well,
you,
good morning,
Francois. Don't
everybody. I
worry.
just
Go
wanted to
ahead.
say, whoops.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, yeah, go ahead. Please start the presentation.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to jump on anyone's lines, but just good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. Thinking back over the past probably 6 or 7 months that I've had the opportunity to partner very closely with staff as we looked at opportunities here to enhance the plan, and have really appreciated just that collaboration and back and forth discussion. Recently, we had a meeting with the subcommittee where we reviewed a couple opportunities to bring to the board. And so we're excited to present our managed account solution here for the board's consideration today. This is an opportunity to enhance the plan with a help strategy for the participants across the city of Philadelphia. And we think it could be a great solution for so many. So we're excited by that opportunity. And with me today, I have Ben Horkel. Ben leads our product area for Nationwide. And then part of his team is Nicole Derby. Nicole will be presenting along with Ben today, but again, just wanted to say thank you to the staff and to the subcommittee members. Just been great dialogue. I think we've learned a lot along the way as we thought together about how we could better serve the participants across the city of Philadelphia, which ultimately is the goal, is to be able to enhance the plan and drive retirement readiness for more people. And so we're excited by that opportunity and what this solution could mean for so many folks across the city of Philadelphia. So with that, Nicole and Ben, if you could briefly just introduce yourselves, a little bit of your background, and then Nicole will turn it over to you to start the presentation.
Yeah, great. I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll turn it over to Ben before we get started with our presentation. So my name is Nicole Derby. I am a director of Pro Account, which is our managed account solution that we are presenting for you today. I have been in the industry almost 20 years on mainly the insurance solution side, with different products, being able to work with all different plans, and then also on the independent and broker dealer side of solutioning as well too. So it is an honor to be here today. Through previous conversations, as Jeff mentioned, it's extremely evident on how much this board and its members, its committees care about your participants. So I'm really excited to be able to bring you a potential strategy for their betterment. With that, I will turn it over to my boss, Ben Herschel, who is our Associate Vice President. So Ben, introduction.
Great, thanks Nicole, and good morning to the board. Appreciate the time as always. My name is Ben Herschel. I'm been with Nationwide coming up on 7 years now. I work in the retirement plans business development unit, and my responsibilities include the managed account programs we offer to our plans and participants, and our fixed and stable value investment solutions that we offer to the same. So very happy to be here. Appreciate the time, and I'll hand it right back over to Nicole to go through the presentation.
Great, thank you so much. And definitely we do have a presentation prepared for this group, but please feel free, raise your hand or signal me at any time during the presentation if there are any questions. We want to make sure that we answer any of your questions or thoughts with this potential solution of Pro Account, which is our managed account solution. So Jeff, since you have driving capabilities, would you mind flipping it over to our City of Philadelphia presentation?
Actually, Nicole,
Perfect.
I'm not driving. I think
Oh,
there's
okay,
someone
good.
from the City of Philadelphia staff that's driving it.
Awesome. Good. I think was it you, Diane? If so, thank you. Very appreciated. Perfect. And this is where we'll start today. So just as a brief overview for those who might not be as familiar with managed accounts and their solutions, managed accounts, which Nationwide solution is Pro Account, is a discretionary managed account service that is available on the plan if the board so elects it. It is an asset-based fee paid by your participants, but basically it's a service for those participants who don't want to handle their retirement plan finances. So you have typically participants who either don't want to do it, don't have the knowledge to do it, or maybe just don't have the insights, the time, the effort, the desire to do it at all too. So we like to think of this as a differentiator for your participants, with saying that this might be a strategy for some, might not be a strategy for other. So this slide is awesome. I love it because it shows kind of like the different points of view of your participants and what we normally see of plans of this size. So you have some people who are more do-it-yourselfers. You have some people who maybe need some help but still want to do it with that help and with that guidance. And then you have the people that fall into a managed account category who really just don't want to do it, who want to delegate that responsibility to somebody else. So the Philadelphia plan already has your target date solution. So that is a great solution to be able to offer your participants. You guys also have a free service from Nationwide called My Investment Planner, which is a non-discretionary fund recommendation. It's point-in-time advice. This is awesome for those people who, want to do it themselves, but maybe need a little help. So you guys are definitely doing a wonderful job of offering the strategies to your participants. And this is how Pro Account fits into it. It would be a strategy within offering the do-it-yourselfers, the help me do it, and then the do it for me. So if you don't mind, we'll go on to the next slide. So this is digging into what actually Pro Account is. So Pro Account works with an independent financial expert, Wilshire, if you guys are familiar with them, to be able to provide strategy solutions, portfolio options for your participants. So the way that the independent financial expert, or IFE, you might hear me call it, Wilshire, does this is through lots of research, lots of management reviews, lots of in-depth analysis. They've come up with 3 different potential glide paths where participants' portfolio model could start at. So this is the slide. You can see that there's those 3 blue lines, and then there's some movement within those. I think this is a great slide just to explain what a managed account solution could do for your participants. So within this, we are able to use both risk and age, which is very important, to be able to provide that customized experience for your participants, which allows them to have a greater probability for success in their retirement goals. And this is just a great example that you can see where Pro Account could be as opposed to where just you know, an S&P TDF index could be. So you can see for some participants, and we generally see this for older participants, usually 50 years plus, but there are some circumstances where we would see a younger participant electing this service. You can see there's a huge difference in what this is going to do versus a TDF. So in some of these instances, you know, if you're a conservative investor, you're looking at a 16% difference in what a personalized risk and age model could do for you versus a standard just target date fund model can do. So a lot of good information there. We're going to pause for a second because that's a lot to take in. Some of you I know are old pros at this, but want to offer the ability to answer any questions just on what a managed account looks like before we continue on. All right, you guys are good today. We'll continue going on and we'll stop if anything comes up. So next slide, please. So really, how is Pro Account different? The next slide is going to show us just exactly how we are customizing it for your participants. So like I stated before, Pro Account, the managed account service, is going to use both risk and age data points along with these other factors to be able to customize the best portfolio for your participants. This is going to lead to a higher probability of them actually achieving their retirement goals that they have told us, that they have told you, which of course we know retirement is one of the most personal, one of the most emotional, one of the most important things of a participant's life. So as you can see, by adding these additional information points into a Pro Account, we can have that customization factor. So we have more insight into actually what's going to make a difference for that participant, as opposed to, you know, somebody just using just like a blank target date fund without the personalization, or even somebody who is getting the help and is doing the right things, but might not know how to change this as their plan goes on, or how to be more successful in their advice experience with that. So we can move on to the next slide. The next slide is actually going to be an example of some of this customization with Pro Account. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So this is just an example. We're at a starting point. If you can see that little 74.8%. So that is somebody that has signed up for a managed account service who has initially been put into one of three portfolios, either conservative, a moderate, or aggressive. But then through customization, through learning more about the participant, through them adding these additional factors, as you can see, for example, what their salary growth rate is, what their savings is. Huge one is outside pension. Philadelphia, you guys are so lucky that you have participants that have pensions. Knowing that pension amount is paramount to be able to customize that experience too. And other factors, if you know they want to retire maybe at 65 instead of maybe 60, or you know push that out. So you can see with somebody who starts off at age 50, who wants a replacement ratio of 85% to maintain that lifestyle that they want in the retirement, adding these customizations and working with our independent financial planner, Wilshire, we're able to increase that probability of meeting that participant's goals up to 81.5%. So you can see that's actually a really huge impact to that person, that their probability is growing. This is something that has come up in previous meetings with Chris and with Dominique and Jackie and everybody. This is something that is going to change and evolve with them. This is not a one and done solution. This is something that continues on their life plan, and Wilshire is continually monitoring, adjusting, making sure that this is the best probability for that participant. So we can go to the next slide. And this is just going to be an example of that participant life cycle. So like I just mentioned, this is not a one and done. This is not a robo advice service that you call up and somebody's going to look at your plan and really not know what you are, who you want, what you want to do. They're actually going to be remonitoring this. They're going to be touching this on a frequent basis. They're going to be continuing to work with you to meet your goals. So there is personalization. We had a great question in an earlier conversation. How often can a participant add new information to be personalized by their managed account service? And that answer is simple. It's as often as they want to. So if they have a plan to retire at age 65, but something changes, something comes up, and now they want to retire at age 62, they can go in and update that. Same thing too is, they're doing some retirement planning. They had originally planned for 100% replacement in their retirement, but now, inflation, all of that stuff. Maybe I'm going to see what it's going to look like if I scale back to an 85% of my current lifestyle in retirement. So as often as they want to interact, as Bina mentioned, we have great online interaction with 73% of your participants having an online account. That's going to be available for them to customize, to refine, and to meet the end goal of having that retirement look like what they want it to look like. So I'm going to pause there to check again for any questions. A lot of information. And we are
Hi,
moving through
Nicole.
fast. Hey, Fran, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good. I had a question concerning process. So
Perfect.
if for example, if we had this in place and last month I said, it looks like there's a lot of value in the stock market. It's been beaten down. I have a conservative portfolio. However, I'd like to be more aggressive going forward because I think, technology's been beaten down a great deal. Who do I go to? Do I go to the financial planner and then start the process there, Don, or where would I go in order to initiate the process for switching from conservative to aggressive, let's say, or for whatever reason, my life goals have changed, whatever that would be. How does that work?
Exactly. Fran, great question. Thank you for bringing that up. We like to make this as easy as possible for the participants. So hopefully you guys as board members will not get questions. So they have numerous options of solutions to do this. So one of the easiest things is they can call any of our licensed representatives who are available to speak with them, have that conversation, and to be able to begin that process to further customize their pro account experience. They can go to the individual representatives that are on your Philadelphia team through Nationwide, whether that's in person, virtual, anything of that nature. Or there is some things that you can start doing online. Again, if it's something that your goals of changing, there is something that we would be happy to walk you through how to change those items online to further personalize. So great question, Fran.
So it'll accommodate someone who's comfortable doing it in person, online, or whatever the situation would be.
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, very valid question. We want to make sure that we're reaching all of the diverse members. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my cohort, Ben, and he is going to go into what the cost of this program is. So Ben?
Yep, thanks, Nicole. I appreciated the presentation, very, very thorough. Fran, thanks for the question. It was a good one, and Nicole nailed it. I think it was, we try to meet your participants where they are. So we have paper forms that will allow someone to update their risk preferences or risk appetite that will impact the pro account portfolios. They can also do that information online through our My Interactive Retirement Planner. So try to meet them where they are to ensure that we're giving advice based on their most recent goals. So with the program that Nicole just went over, and thinking about the Philadelphia plan, we are here with a fee. It's a tiered structure fee, whereby as account balances get larger, the asset-based fee goes down. The starting price would be 50 basis points for those. And again, this is for only those participants who elect the service. We fully disclose this fee prior to enrollment, but this is the fee that we're happy and excited to offer the Philadelphia plan. Should you make the decision to add the service as being available to the participants in your plan. We'll pause here for any other additional questions. We can always recap or revisit any of the slides Nicole went over. But that concludes our prepared remarks for the pro account presentation.
Thanks. Can you talk a little bit about the rationale behind the fee structure?
Yeah, can you maybe give a little bit more details around
Yeah, so
around that?
the 0.5% seems high to me, so I'm trying to understand why that's the percent that you chose.
Okay, well, we have a fairly consistent. So this is consistent with other plans on our platform. Similar characteristics to your plan. Not to say every plan has a 50 basis point fee, but as we consider the characteristics of your plan and the importance of a program like this to your participants, we believe that the 50 basis points is an appropriate fee for the value the service provides.
And when you say that not every plan has 50 basis points, what's the range?
I believe it's the range of fees on our platform are 45 basis points to 65 basis points, I believe.
Anyone else have questions?
Rob,
What-
I do. This is Diana, and just to follow up on a little bit more on your questions, Rob. What is it about our plan that is making you all evaluate it at the 50 percentage points?
I think that the characteristics we look at are general overall plan assets, number of participants in the plan, and then the investment lineup that you offer. I would say that there's not a lot of variability within the basis points for plans of a certain size. So, we don't do a deep dive into any specific characteristics. It's generally number of participants, total plan assets, where we have the fees that we present here.
And you mentioned that the range started at 45. So what is it that a plan getting 45, what is it? How do they differ from ours?
I would say in two ways. Oftentimes there'd be a larger number of participants in the plan, a larger total asset fee, but oftentimes where it gets to the 50 is after the service has been on the program for some time, and there is higher adoption rates by participants. That's another factor we look at. And so oftentimes a plan will start at a price, and if there is relatively high levels of adoption, then that price can be adjusted.
So would that be the case for this program too, if there's a high level of adoption?
Yeah, if the plan were to adopt the service and there was success, we would always be open to conversations as we see that adoption level change in the future.
Ben, this is Fran. One of the characteristics you mentioned was the investment lineup, along with overall plan assets, number of participants, and then the fourth thing, longevity of the plan. What about our investment lineup is, I guess, would not qualify this plan to get the lowest program fee?
Yeah, and hopefully my comment, I didn't want to cause confusion. The review of the lineup was to ensure that there was sufficient number of asset classes for our independent financial expert to offer the service. So, it's infrequent that a plan won't have the requisite number of asset classes, but we do have scenarios where a plan does not offer enough differentiation in asset classes that we simply can't provide the service. And so
Right.
that was more of a, is the service available, rather than a, what impact to the price. So that was a yes, no question rather than a level of the fee question.
All right, fair enough. So that does not apply to our plan then, because obviously we would not be listening to this presentation otherwise, correct?
That's a fair statement. You have a very robust lineup.
Okay, and then concerning the longevity question, what the participation rate is if there were this if this were to be offered to our plan. Is there a percentage level of participants that participate in this that qualify as that minimum baseline level to reduce the rate, or is it the number of assets in those participating that results in a reduction of the rate?
Yeah, I would say there's no hard and fast ceiling or floor we're looking for, Fran. It's more art than science. Typically, these conversations happen, along with the other pricing components or renewal conversations that happen at the plan when you're reviewing other types of features in the plan. This would be another part of that conversation. Not to say that it has to be, but during those conversations, there's not really a hard and fast rule, right? We look at how long the service has been on the plan, how many people are adopting, and then based on those conversations and conversations with you and your team, we make that determination.
Okay, so what, and I just not try to put words in your mouth, but when you say more art than science, it makes me think more subjective than objective. So we're more at the mercy of Nationwide and their decision-making process than any objective factor. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah, I would just say that we don't have any hard and fast rules. So for example, if there's I'll make up a number here for example purposes, if 10% of your assets or 5% of your assets or 5% of your participants are enrolled, that doesn't necessarily flip a flag, right? We just look at generally how long the service is available, the level of adoption, and if this is something your participants are interested in.
Got it. So no hard and fast rule. So just for, and this is my last question, just for sake of conversation, if Nationwide wanted to today, since there's no hard and fast rule, they could propose a 45 basis point fee. And there's no rule against that, correct?
I would say there's no rule against that. I would also say that this is in line with other proposals we've made to similar plans.
No, I hear that. I appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so that's listed as an action item. Is there something, do we need to take a vote on that? Jim's at a
wait.
Step here.
Can we wait? Bob,
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
Can we have a discussion but without deferred comp? Can we have a discussion on it?
Yeah.
Well, can I suggest something maybe? And you tell me if this is out of line, but I think we're going to hear about other products as well, I believe. Should we finish that and then have a discussion or break this in pieces?
That sounds good.
Well, Jim.
No, we're not having a discussion about other products, I believe. They're going to discuss or just give information about the guaranteed fund rate.
Yeah, I think what Brian was saying, he wants to hear that and then go back to the action item and discuss the two things together.
Well, I thought
whatever works.
they are
That's fine, Rob.
I thought they're separate from each other, Rob.
They are separate from each other, and I think what Carol was saying was similar to when an investment company makes a presentation. We usually have the investment manager leave the room and then have an internal discussion and then bring them back into the room. Carol, is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if they finish, then they can leave the room. We had discussion. If Brian want them to go over the guarantee rate, then I'm fine. I'll wait to the end.
Oh, we can move on. We're good. Let's break into a discussion. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So, Bill, you'll be able to bring the Nationwide folks back into the room after we have the discussion?
Yeah, they would all have to leave the meeting and then go into the lobby, and then we can bring them back in afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so they'll just let us know when they're out.
So just to be clear, I want to make sure I understand. So we exit and then we re-log back in, but we'll just be in the lobby waiting to be admitted. Is that correct?
That's correct, but the discussion would still be on the tape that's being monitored for the public release.
Got it. Just didn't want to not follow the right process and then couldn't get back
Right.
in later. So that's why I wanted to confirm. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
as long as you just all sign out, then you'll go into the lobby and we'll bring you back in.
Great.
Okay. So
Thank you all.
log in, log out, and log back in. Got it. Thank you.
Just let us know, Bill, when we're
Yes,
good.
sir.
Rob, it's Vanessa. Can I ask a question just for clarity's sake? Because I agree with Carol that we need to do some level of discussion without them present. But I just want to know, is the discussion still public record, or is this an executive session of the board or the trustees that are discussing?
I think this is public, right?
Yeah, this
Yes.
is a deliberation. This is public record. This is a discussion that is not subject to executive session.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
And you're
So-
clear, Rob.
Okay, great. Thanks. And Carol, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I'm fine with making a motion to approve the new managed care account, but I understand people have concerns about the fees. And while I do have concern about the fees as well, when I looked at it, it's kind of like what we did for city employees. As they salary increase, so does their pension contribution increases in levels of steps and percentage. Am I right?
Yeah, but this is the opposite. This goes down the higher your level is.
Right, but I'm just saying that the fee is there based on top of what they also give in their regular pension. When they go to the next unit of income, they add another point or two onto
Right.
their pension.
All I was saying, Carol, is on the pension side, when you go up, your
Right, we
percent
go up.
goes
We
up.
pay.
And here they're saying if you're at a higher level, your percent goes down.
Right, so we pay more and then here is going down. I'm just saying that
Correct.
the fee service is there and is not something that the people have to get into. It's for people, is their personal choice to get into.
Yeah.
And I just think we should just give them an opportunity, our participants, to have a new account, get educated on it. If they choose to get it, they can. Now, this is my only question though. Will they charge us a fee regardless of a person getting into it or not?
No.
The fee,
No,
okay, so
just
the
the
fee
people
is
in
just to, The fee is
Sorry,
just,
go ahead, Carol.
the fee is just to the participant, right?
That's correct, Carol.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, this is, and I see this a lot when I go to NCPers and another one they have, Wisher, the same company, help new trustees understand how to do asset allocation. And this is the model that they use, that same type of model. So, when they showed it, it made it kind of more clear to me, but that's the discussion I just want to have. That's it.
Okay, so I just have a couple quick questions. So how long have they been offering this product? And who are their other, is it all their other customers they offer this product to, or?
They've been offering the product, March, I don't have the exact date, for multiple years. I think it's open to any other or to any of their clients who want it. I'm not aware of any restrictions, that they only offer it to, clients A, B, and C, and not the rest. But it's something they and other third-party administrators have their own version of it. It's something they've offered for multiple years.
Okay, the only other question I had, and Fran raised this question about the subjectivity of the rates themselves. That was a concern, and thank you for bringing that up, Fran, about, that, falling and where it starts and that sort of thing. That was just one question, I think, that I was concerned about.
It puts the burden on us somewhat, is all I'm saying, is to constantly go back to Nationwide and say, can we revisit the fee? Can we revisit the fee?
Right.
And I think we've been through that in other scenarios where it's something that's somewhat uncomfortable and something that I just wanted to point out to the board. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Maybe the subjectivity could be to our advantage, but you know, it's something that we're relying on their goodwill, so to speak, in order to reduce the rate.
And they're
Is
charging
that
us more.
typical? Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I think so. The chart that's on the screen right now, that's objective, right, per participant. But the scale on their annual program fee is the subjective part of it, whether it's at 45 basis points to start or 65 basis points to start or at some other number. It's the scaling that's the subjective part. The objective part is if someone has $150,000 in there, we know what their fee is going to be. So yes, it is typical that they will negotiate these things, Marcia, and it's not applied evenly plan by plan, at least by insurance companies, all insurance companies. Investment companies, it's usually pretty, like with Vanguard, for example, it's pretty straightforward. But
And is this what they initially came to us with, or did they come down from something higher to get to this?
So initial discussions at the subcommittee, they just threw out hypothetically 65, but in terms of a formal proposal, Rob, this is what they provided. And staff has spoken with Jeff. We have, explained to him, I mean, we've certainly done our own research. We've looked at similar platforms for the retail investor information we've been able to glean from a few other public plans or other TPAs, and expressed a belief that the fee should probably be, in our opinion, lower. But the simple answer to your question is this is the formal proposal they started with, and it has not changed subsequent to any of those discussions.
And when you looked at other similar products, where were those fees around?
I would say between 30 on the extreme low end to start, up to 40-ish. Again, I mean, one thing that does make it a little bit tricky is it's very difficult to compare an absolute, apples to apples, meaning exactly how much human interaction you're going to get versus algorithms or, kind of the robo-advisor. But we believe, based on the research we've done, a couple of the folks we've spoken with, that, somewhere between a 5 and, let's say, at the high end, 15 basis point reduction, would be appropriate. And to Fran's point on the tiers, I certainly understand, the subjective nature, and Marcia's point too. But the level of service, I mean, doesn't, in my mind, change. I mean, yes, you have more assets, maybe you have a little bit more information to enter, but the level of service doesn't necessarily change all that much from someone who has 99,000 and someone who has 250. So I think, starting a little bit lower, I think it's a good tool. I think, to Carol's point, folks who want to use it or can benefit from it, I think it's, there's nothing wrong with it. I would like to have seen them come in a little bit lower than they did.
Chris, it is an excellent tool in this respect, as we all go through our work careers, we have what's called an accumulation stage where you accumulate assets by putting it away into a deferred comp. But then at some point, and I think Nicole pointed out 50 plus, is, people start planning, and it's called the planning stage. That's one thing, except for the certified financial planner, there is not something in our plan that I guess is conducive from an investment perspective to that planning stage. I mean, there are target date funds. This does that. So in that respect, this is a good thing. This is a good thing and something that we don't currently have. So, Carol makes a good point in that respect. I think this would be beneficial to the members, but the fees are legitimate concern.
Yeah, and just one more point, Rob. I'm sorry, because Fran and Dominique, I know would probably bring it up too. I think one other thing that we talked about with some other folks, outside, or just, doing research, I might feel, or staff, I should say, might feel a little bit differently about the fee if the board hadn't already done a significant portion of the work. And so what I mean by that, or what we mean by that, is the board's put together a really a good number of funds, a really good lineup of funds, active, but with keeping fees in check, good passive options, the life cycle funds Fran mentioned. So this tool will be limited to giving people advice within that band of funds that the board's already put together, already monitors, already reviews, somewhere between 2 and 4 times a year. If Nationwide was allowed to offer advice, and I'm not suggesting, I'm not recommending this, if the tool was allowed to look at funds outside of that, I might feel differently about the fees. But when the board has already done a lot of the work in assembling that lineup, I think that's another reason. And I think a couple of folks on the subcommittee may have mentioned that too. That's another reason I think we think the fee perhaps should come down a little bit as well.
Is there any benefit to us tabling? Because it sounds nobody's happy with these fees, and I don't really feel like we should vote to approve this if nobody's happy with these fees. Is there any benefit to telling Nationwide, look, we're going to table the vote on this because you need to work on these fees? You told us essentially it's subjective, and here's some other factors you may not have considered. I think, Chris, to your point, the fact that we've essentially made their job easy should be considered as a factor to lower that percentage fee. So, I mean, you all have dealt with them more. I'm wondering if that's a potential option here, because I would hate for us to feel obligated to vote for something when we're not happy with the fee structure.
Yes, Diana, from a board perspective, that is something that's been done previously, where the board indicates, yes, I like the concept, I like the product. However, we would ask Chris or staff, whatever, we would ask Chris to go back to either the investment manager, or in this case, Nationwide, and try to get the fee reduced and come back to the board the following week to advise the board and for the board to make a decision. That is something that the board has done in the past.
Fran, do you mean the following week or the following meeting?
I mean the following meeting. Thank you, sir.
So let me finish and say that, and that's fine with me, I'm good with that, but let me just say this, and not disrespectful to anybody, but we always do the work. The educational program that Brad uses is something that Dominique, me, that the subcommittee developed. Nationwide didn't develop, or ICMA didn't develop. But they use it, and they have gotten, not Nationwide, but before, other ICMA have gotten other clients based on our educational program that we developed. And the thing of it is that when you're doing a retirement, people should have the whole picture of what's happening. So, I mean, I'm good with whatever y'all want to do. Back and forth with the fees, whatever y'all want to do. But I'm advocating on both sides to here. That's what I feel. Maybe I'm not, but I feel I am. And at some point, the member is losing money while we are fighting over fees. They're losing more than that. Everything is going up. And in today's climate, if it wasn't for today's climate, I would be arguing stronger against the fees. But in today's climate, when everything is going up, nobody had no control. How can we sit here and continue to argue about the rise of fees? Not that it shouldn't be, but gas is going up, water went up, PGW went up, food went up,
Yeah, I understand your
interest rate
concern.
went
So-
up.
Harold,
mean,
if I could, I
So
think,
that's just whatever y'all want to do, to wait, have Chris go back and see if we can negotiate lower fees and stuff like that. But at some point, we either gonna throw our hands up and don't add any more programs to the fund because we're still where we at. We hadn't added anything new. We changed some stuff, but we hadn't added anything new to deferred comp.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating for us to do this indefinitely. I think we've made a good record. We've asked him a bunch of questions, and I think we're being diligent in trying to get a better rate. I agree with you, Carol, that, you know, we definitely need to be mindful of today's climate, but I think it's worth an attempt, especially when I think with Fran's effective cross-examination, I think we got him to admit that it was subjective. And so I think, you know, it's worth us going back and at least trying. And by the next meeting, if there's no movement, then we've done our part. And then I think, you know, if we feel comfortable, we can move forward then.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can limit it.
That's
Cal, to a
fine, because we've
point-
been only
to one
doing this for
meeting.
3 months now, but that's fine. That's fine, Diane. I'm in agreement with that. Don't make
I just feel like if I went to any investment advisor outside the plan and said, I'm going to hand you $3.6 billion with a captive audience, I'm handing you everything you need. I guarantee you I'm getting a better fee than this. And that's what we're doing here. We're handing them access to $3.6 billion with the captive audience that has our support. And I just think that fee is very high. I have money in the outside world, just me, and I have 0.3, 30 basis point fee. And that's access to many, many more products than what we offer. This is pretty easy work for any investment person. I think that's the point. And the other question is, how do we monitor the success rate? How do you know if they're beating their fee, right? That's the goal. If I'm going to pay 50 basis points, you better earn me 51. How do we know that? Because my job is to protect my members from losing money, from not, because they don't understand, and they don't understand. I think they count on us to vet, any of this stuff away until we say, hey, trust us, this is a good thing for you to do. How do we monitor that? How do we know, if they're going to beat the target funds, or how do we know if they're going to beat passive management at significantly less fees? I can't see how we monitor that. And that's what scares me. I love active management as a product offering to my members because they could all use it. They're very, very inexperienced with investing, but I don't want to just say, trust me, go pay, this is your only option, and have no way to know if what I just said is helping or hurting my members.
So, and Brian, you're right to that point, but we hand over money to managers in to do investment for us, and they come back and tell us the fee is what it is, and we can't get lower fees. And we have a couple of managers right now, and if I have to go through them, I will, to prove it, that the fee was very high, but staff and us agreed that they couldn't do no better. So we do hand over money to managers who fees are high, but like I said, we can just
We do, but we also monitor their progress to see if it was worth it. I mean, certain managers have made us, private equity, a heck of a lot of money. And I've said to some of them, I'm okay with your fee. You're beating it. We know you're beating it. I don't see how I can monitor that with this product. To say all my members that I said pay 50 basis points, then 45, are they beating it, or are you just sort of humming along like you were before this product? I don't know how I would monitor that.
And can I just say, for me, I also think that it's a little bit different after I heard that explanation today, and it was very clear that they used a bunch of subjective factors, which means they have room to move. I think just as a matter of due diligence, that we do need to go back, much like Diana suggested, and at least have us add a couple of subjective factors that we'd ask them to consider into that factor, some of which being the amount of work that we did and other things that some of you have pointed out, and see if they're willing to come back with a better fee. The fees just seem a little exorbitant to me, given the dollar amount and the amount of other work that we have done with Nationwide and all of that subjectivity that is built into this. I mean, Carol, I do hear you, but I do think we at a minimum need to try to do some level of negotiation to see if this is an account that they want bad enough that they are willing to take into consideration these points that we're making. And I don't think that the points are unrealistic or outrageous. We're asking them to consider a few more factors, and then we can go ahead and just vote and make a determinative decision at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Right,
because
and
my
we
thing is,
can-
if you don't like the fees and that's it, we can just don't do it at all. We don't have to keep going back. All I'm saying, Vanessa, is that this is going on the 4th month that we've been dealing with fees. with Nationwide.
Understood.
So, I mean, I'm just not for the back and forth. And if it's our decision and nobody want to do it, nobody don't know how you monitor it, nobody, we don't, there's a lot of things that's happening in the fund. And while we're fighting this thing, our manager, our members account, y'all account are losing money because the world is losing money. But if nobody, like Diane said, is happy with the fees, then why even look into the fund?
So I think, Carol, because we want to
just
have a
what?
chance to go back to them and try to get the fees down. And
Bob, we
to what
asked,
you talked about, Carol, let me finish.
Yeah,
And just like you said, we do this with our managers all the time. It's part of our normal process. So I don't think anyone's saying, no, we don't want to do it, but I think everyone's saying we want to do it at the right price. And we want to be able to go back to them and say, look, we had a good conversation. Here are all the things we think you should consider in that fee. Based on that, are you going to come down? And we can also commit, Carol, because I understand your point that we need to wrap this up, that we'll finish this at the next meeting.
okay, all right, Rob, thank you so much. Because I thought we asked Chris to do that the other day. So if we didn't, then please go ahead and do it.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Do we want to call them back in?
Sure, call him back in, yes.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks for that discussion. Just let us know, Bill, when we're ready.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
And we are good.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the presentation. We think it's a really good product, but we're still concerned about the fees. So we're going to table this item today and give our staff a chance to have some more conversations with you about the fee, and then revisit this at the next meeting. Now move on to agenda item 4, which is the guaranteed fund rate.
Yep, and I think that's just an update. As previously communicated, the rate was subject to a reduction as of August 1st. And that rate is scheduled to go to 2.6 as of Monday, August 1st. So that's just an update or just a confirmation of process for the board and the staff.
Thanks. And does what's going on with interest rates now have any impact on how you consider that, how you make that decision about where your rate's going to go?
It's part of the equation, but I think you have to remember the strategy as a whole is a buy and hold strategy. And you look back at the time when the assets transferred over, I believe it was back in November of 2017, and you look at the average duration of the portfolio. So it doesn't move as quickly as short-term interest rates do because of the strategy and the fact that it provides that stability and smoothing, if you will, during volatile times where short-term interest rates can move up or down more quickly.
So does that mean that over time you would get some benefit in the portfolio from rates, and you would kind of look at this again as market conditions change?
Yeah, there's lots of factors. The rate is subject to a quarterly rate change, as we've communicated in the past. So those factors definitely go into consideration for sure.
And Jeff, when you're talking, oh, I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to.
And Jeff, when you're talking about the holding period of what you've invested in some time ago, you're talking about that internally invested Nationwide product that you won't disclose the return rate in, correct?
Right. So the general account is made up of the overall, right, Nationwide, the portfolio, and those assets were transferred into that portfolio, if you will, I believe in November of 2017.
Right.
Don't hold me to that exact date, but I think that's
No,
about
that's fine. That's fine. But you will not disclose what the return on that internal product is, correct?
Yep, it's a spread-based product. We've discussed, I know, countless times, and it's something that is internal and proprietary to Nationwide.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay. Any new business, old business? Then they're been moved and probably seconded that we adjourn, and we are adjourned, and we'll move into investment committee. And the first item for investment committee is approval of the June 22nd investment minutes. Has been moved and properly seconded that the minutes be approved. Any discussion? We'll call the roll. Diana?
I approve.
Thanks. Brian?
I approve.
Vanessa?
I approve.
Marcia?
Abstain.
Roosevelt?
I approve.
Paul?
I approve.
Helen?
I approve. And Rob, Nick Hand's going to vote for our office. I have to run.
Okay, thanks. And Carol?
Approve.
The motion carries. Minutes are approved, and we'll go to agenda item 2, which is private equity recommendation for Vista Capital Solutions.
Good morning, everyone. I'll just make a couple super brief comments, and then we'll clear the floor for Abdel, Byrne, and Marquette. Thank them for their hard work in preparing this recommendation. We're recommending a $75 million total investment with Vista Capital Partners. This is a African-American owned fund that the board has done business with previously. If approved, that would bring the total private equity commitments for the board this calendar year to $100 million. That would put us with somewhere between 25 and 75 million left to go to meet our annual pacing targets. Vista is here waiting in the lobby after questions and comments by Marquette and staff. So with that, I will turn it over to Abdel and Byrne to do a concise walkthrough of the opportunity.
Good morning, Abdel.
Good job, Byrne.
Good morning. Thank you, Chris, for highlighting those important details. And before I dive into the presentation, I wanted to lay out a few important facts about Vista. As Chris mentioned, the board is an investor in two of Vista's fund, Vista Equity Partner 3, Vintage 2007. The board made a commitment of $16 million. The fund had returned 26.83%. Subsequently, in 2013, the board made a commitment of $20 million into Vista Foundation 2. So far, the fund had returned 15.97%. And obviously, a lot has changed with Vista over the years, not necessarily with the strategy, but with Vista as an investor. The company has made huge progress in terms of market share, domain expertise, research and capabilities, DA&I, ESG, and so forth. And that is a testament to its governance, and it speaks to how well the company has been managed over the years. Our team, along with Marquette, have taken the steps to review Vista investment strategy, including some of the points I just made reference to, as well as the new fund. We determined that Vista remain consistent in its core focus and continue to apply the same strategy that will help prepare the company to this level of growth we're seeing. Staffing Marquette recommend a commitment of $50 million into Vista Credit Solution, which obviously is a credit fund, and a $25 million co-investment into a co-investment vehicle. The co-investment vehicle is especially important in this case because it requires no management fee and only 5% carry, and that will undoubtedly lower the overall cost of the fund. And certainly this was not the initial fee proposal put forward when we kicked off the conversation. As we always do, Staffing Marquette put a great deal in because we believe the GP has a competitive advantage because of his deep knowledge in the domain expertise, as well as vast origination platform, allowing it to maintain a consistent track record. Quick note on Vista's history. Vista is a minority-owned firm founded by Robert F. Smith in 2000, and it's based on Austin, Texas. The company focuses on providing enterprise software, data, and technology-enabled solutions. And these are the type of companies that offer products that are critical to the day-to-day operation of businesses, their storage system, their data management capabilities, and enhance their overall productivities and efficiency. As you all know, this type of service capabilities are necessary components to any business looking to compete and remain viable in this current economic environment. And Vista offered the means to these providers to fulfill that growing demand. The firm currently has approximately $100 billion in asset under management. It employs 460 professionals in its 5 offices across the country, including Hong Kong. Since inception, the company has expanded its investment product and has created multiple platforms encompassing various strategies, including private equity, private credit, public equity, and technology consulting, and so forth. Vista Credit Platform employs 23 investment professionals with deep knowledge and expertise in technology and credit investments. The team is led by David Flannery, who has 29 years of experience working in the field. David is supported by 1 senior managing director, 2 managing directors, and 8 directors, 2 vice presidents, including 5 senior associates. On average, the Vista Senior Platform Management team has 16 years of financial industry and credit experience. The platform was founded in 2013, and so far, it has structured 6 different funds, and recently the new fund, Vista Credit Solution. Vista Credit Solution, or the new fund, will follow the same strategy and employs the same discipline of Vista Credit Platform by heavily targeting businesses in enterprise software, data, and technology-enabled businesses with proven technology, have high recurring revenues, and have demonstrated high potential for growth. Some details about the fund. Vista Credit Solution is seeking to raise $750 million to $1 billion in total commitment. VCF held its first close early this month and is expected to hold its final close at the end of this year. The fund portfolio consists of 20 to 30 deals, and it's anticipated to generate 15 to 20% gross IRR and 12 to 14 net. Consistent with Vista's strategy, VCF will seek investment in first lien senior secured loans to lower middle market companies, founder-owned, with enterprise value of $500 million to $2 billion. The fund term is 6 years with 1 to 2 years extension. The management fee is 1.5 for commitment less than 50 million and 1.25 for commitment greater than 50 million. The carry is 20% with 8% preferred return. And here's what is important, and I briefly mentioned that earlier. Investing alongside Vista on a sidecar, which offers no management fees and only 5% carry, will reduce the overall cost in the fees I mentioned above. And basically, the overall management fee with the added sidecar would be reduced to 0.83%, and the carry, that is a total discount of 44% on the management fees, 5% discount on the carries. As you can see, the merit of 11 basis points, cohesive team that has the knowledge, the resources, and the expertise to execute the strategy. Initiative, the DNI should really took a walk.
Abdel, you're breaking up a little.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Rob. Abdel, you broke up a little, so I'll just wrap it up for you before we bring in Brett from Marquette. To summarize, Abdel, you did a great job. Money never sleeps, and neither does the Philadelphia investment staff. I've never had a call before from the beach in Morocco. Abdel called in while he was away on vacation. Very diligent, great great job on this. Staff was able to negotiate with one of the preeminent technology private equity, private credit funds, a very, very attractive package here for the pension fund. For the main $50 million primary fund, we've been able to, since we're a first close investor, come in at a reduced fee, 1.25%. We have a 6-month fee holiday. And for the sidecar, we've been able to really negotiate an outstanding deal. The total package deal significantly reduces our fee with one of the primary preeminent gold standards in private equity and private debt that invests in the technology sector. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brett from Marquette to highlight some of the report.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I, be conscious of time and appreciate the time today, but Abdel Byrne did a great job of highlighting not only the attractiveness of the overall opportunity, but also the attractiveness of the structure that they were able to negotiate and work with on behalf of Vista. So building off of what they said, especially in the backdrop of the current market environment where you continue to see dislocations, significant sell-off in the equity and dislocations in the fixed income market, we believe this is a fund that is primed to take advantage of that opportunity. As you can see through Vista's performance over the years, they've been able to have a well-defined process, a repeatable process that has led to strong returns for LPs and investors. And they'll come in here in a minute and talk about that, but I do want to highlight what Byrne and Abdel mentioned about the overall attractiveness of the structure. So overall, these fees are well below market and what we see market today, and that's a 44% reduction in the overall investment management fee, and then a 25% reduction in the overall carry of the fund. In addition to that, they are providing the City of Philadelphia with an LPAC seat, which will allow them or give them interest in the management of the overall management of the fund and working with the team. So interests are aligned in this. This is a firm that the plan is overall familiar with, but also Marquette's familiar with. We continue to invest in Vista funds, both on the equity and fixed income side, recommend them to prospective clients. Additionally, we did follow up reference checks with a number of investors in this fund and other funds, and all the reference checks were glowing. So overall, we believe this is an attractive fund. The opportunity set is very attractive given the market backdrop. And then I think the added cherry on top is the overall fee structure that the City of Philadelphia has been able to negotiate with what, as Byrne said, a preeminent investor in the space and really the gold standard for the space. So it's a fund and a firm that we're excited about. We think this is a great opportunity and appreciate the time and work that the Philly team has put together on this.
Great, thank you, Brett, and thanks, Abdel and Byrne. Any questions before we bring them in? Okay, let's bring them in.
Hi, Monica, we've now brought you in. Rob, you're good to go.
Great, thank you very much. Whenever you're ready to go, please go ahead with the presentation.
Excellent.
Great. Should I start? My name is David Breach. I am Vista's President and Chief Operating Officer, and I'm very pleased, as well as my colleagues are, to talk to you about Vista and to present to you today. For those of you that are not as familiar with Vista, we started the firm about 22 years ago to specifically focus on investing in the business-to-business enterprise software space, and to do that investing with an operational lens and an operational focus as we evaluate businesses to invest in, whether as an equity investor or as a credit investor. We do so through the lens of over 100 operating best practices that we use to help companies that we invest in operate in a more effective manner and create value on a very predictable and repeatable basis for our investors, while at the same time managing any downside risk. We've got a highly experienced team of investment and operating professionals. We have about 550 total employees at the firm, almost 300 of which are investment and operating professionals. Over the course of 22 years, we've generated fully realized returns on our equity investments of almost 3.2 times on a gross multiple of invested capital basis, with a nearly 38% gross internal rate of return, while at the same time having a loss ratio of approximately 0.3%, which compares very favorably to the private industry average of almost 24% between write-offs and write-downs. So we're very careful with our investors' money to make sure that we are not taking undue risk and generating attractive returns while minimizing any downside risk. Our credit platform has deployed over $9 billion, and our current flagship credit fund, VCP3, has achieved a net IRR of approximately 16.4% to date. If you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide, please. Our platform today is almost 100 billion of total assets under management. Almost 87 billion is in our core private equity strategies, which are comprised of our flagship fund, our foundation fund, and our Endeavor fund, each of which are incorporating or implementing a similar strategy. They're just targeting different size transactions. So depending on the size of the transaction, our smallest fund would do the smaller deals, our mid-sized fund, the medium deals, and of course our flagship fund would do the larger deals. We also have a fund that we call our perennial fund that invests for a long-term hold, which is a little less than $2.5 billion. And then our credit platform has about 6.1 billion of committed capital. And then we also operate a hedge fund business that's approximately 1 billion of total capital. If we please advance one more slide. Over the evolution of the firm, we've really transitioned from being a newly found founder-run firm to really being a broad-based institutional asset manager. We've invested in the firm's infrastructure. We have over 200 employees that operate the various operational elements of our business. We've also evolved into a very mature governance framework with an executive committee, a private equity management committee, as well as important investment risk committees. We've had a keen focus on our leadership and talent development. And needless to say, as a firm that was founded by an African-American male and being the largest, I think, alternative asset manager managed by an African-American, we're very, very committed to both DE&I and ESG initiatives. My colleague Kalita will go into that in more detail and share with you, I think, some very favorable statistics in terms of our promotion of both underrepresented minorities and women in the alternative asset space. One thing that we've done that I think is very interesting is that if you look at Vista today, we're owned by over 50 senior executives and senior leaders at the firm, and we are majority owned by folks that are either underrepresented minorities and or females. So we've got a very broad ownership of the firm that is both diverse from a gender and an underrepresented minority basis. With that, I will turn it over to Kalita to talk a little bit more detail about some of our efforts from a DE&I perspective.
Thank you so much, David. Hello, everyone. My name is Kalita Ali. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion here at Vista. We can advance to slide 7. That would be very helpful. Very excited to.
If possible, could you please turn on your camera?
My camera is on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. So very excited to walk through our strategic plan and framework in terms of how it is that we engage on the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As you all know, Vista is certified as a minority business through the NMSDC, which is the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council. And so with that, DE&I is really core to our DNA. And so as we think about the opportunity at hand, we're really excited because we see this opportunity to really transform the industries of technology and investing. And what you see on this slide is our strategic framework. And so we approach this work across these 4 key areas of focus. So Vista's internal efforts, which is focused on people and culture. And in particular, we have a very strong focus on talent programs. So everything from internship programs and established analyst and associate program, and then also lateral hires throughout the organization. Inclusion is also a very big area of focus for us. We created a program called Conscious Inclusion, which is a series of 3 workshops that everyone in the company goes through. And it's also a competency that was included or is added to our performance review process at the end of the year. Another big area of focus for us as a firm is around portfolio engagement. So here we primarily focus on executive leadership team engagement across the companies. We focus on board diversity stewardship and ultimately driving accountability. A third area of focus for us relates to business engagement. So here we really focus on identifying ways to have collective impact by partnering with other organizations that are doing work to help drive DE&I forward. Some examples of that would be the work that we do with the Business Roundtable. And then we also have work underway at hand within the company with our capital markets team in particular in terms of working with diverse brokers. And then our 4th area of focus is around external impact. So here it is very important for us to work with and support organizations that are doing great work in terms of helping to develop the next generation of diverse leaders who will enter into these 2 industries, in particular, technology and investing. And Code.org has been a tremendous partner to us. So in addition to Vista's efforts, in addition to partnering across our portfolio, we've engaged over 20,000 students in terms of increasing access to computer science and technology. So ultimately, our goal is to propel DE&I forward by focusing on opportunity creation and economic inclusion. And when we go to the next slide, we're really excited about the progress and the engagement that we're seeing. So if we can go to slide 8, that would be great. So as of year end 2021, Vista has achieved gender parity. 49% of Vista's workforce identify as women. We are incredibly proud and excited about this milestone. Also, when we look at representation with senior staff, 19% identify as women. 32% of Vista's workforce are people of color, and 27% of Vista's staff are people of color as well. So not only do we focus on engagement at the Vista level, we also look at engagement across the portfolio as well. So I mentioned board diversity stewardship is a very big area of focus. 84% of our boards have at least one woman. 85% of our boards have at least one person of color. And in 2021, 33 external independent board members were appointed. And also last year, we launched a pipeline building program with the NACD, National Association of Corporate Directors, which is focused on creating and developing a pipeline of board-ready talent for audit committees in particular. And then the last 3 stats that you see on the slide speak to engagement across the portfolio. 93% of our companies have someone within their organization focused on DE&I. 100% of our companies are involved with our Sustainability Leadership Council. And then there's also strong participation in our annual ESG assessment. And when we go to the next slide, slide 9, just to tie it all together, just really wanted to emphasize that we don't go at this work alone. What you see represented here are a number of the core partners and organizations that we work with that help us with everything from focusing on recruiting to efforts at the board level to increasing access around computer science, technology, and STEM. So we're really excited about this holistic and cohesive effort that we have in place and the work that we've achieved to date. And now we'll turn it over to David. And just wanted to quickly say, for me, this feels like a full circle moment. I'm actually from West Philadelphia, so appreciate having a few minutes to speak with you this morning.
Hi, Kalita, could I just follow up quickly and ask a question before you turn it over to David? We know it seems like the emphasis on diversity flows down from the founder. We know what the founder did for the Morehouse students in 2020. We also know that he created a $1.8 million grant program for HBCU students besides that. Has there been, given the long relationship Vista has with the City of Philadelphia Pension Fund, is there a possibility of having discussions of doing something for local students from the local universities here in Philadelphia? Some sort of internship program or something like that?
Yes, I would say absolutely. I see David Breach also shaking his head as well in the affirmative. Absolutely. I mean, for us, our approach is we like to span far and wide in terms of ensuring that a broad cross-section of students are aware of the opportunity. So we'd love to connect with you offline to talk about the different programs that we have.
Yeah, we'd love to do that because sometimes students from only certain group of schools, you know, you could get these opportunities, but there are a lot more qualified and capable students out there, especially locally with schools like Temple, Drexel, and so forth, aside from just Ivy League schools that we think could be assets. So.
Oh, 100% agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
We'll follow up.
And one thing I'll just chime in briefly. One of the key programs that Robert has supported through his philanthropic efforts is a program called InternX, which is specifically focused on generating literally tens of thousands of internships. And I think that would be an excellent program to follow up with Philadelphia on that will have, I think, a very widespread impact. So we will make sure that we do that.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I guess I'll jump in. I'm David Flannery. I lead the credit business here, and I'm grateful to present today. Just quickly by way of background, I was born and raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but before there was such a thing as the office. And then for college, I went to school just up the line at Villanova University, moved to New York City after that, and have spent the last 30 years or so in the credit markets, longer than I sometimes care to admit. If you go to page 11 here, if you can see that, just a quick summary. I'm going to speak for about 15 or 20 minutes, and this is just a quick outline of what I'll try to cover. My partner, David Breach, talked about the integrated firm and the deep expertise, and I'll try to spend a couple of minutes talking about how the credit business really plugs into this broader platform. And really the power of the platform, I think, is an important part of how we drive value. Nimble and cross-asset class capabilities. This allows Vista to speak to software companies about creative financing solutions anywhere in their capital structure. So as a firm, we can talk to a founder of a software company about anything from making a loan to help them grow and create jobs, all the way through to making a meaningful equity investment and being a partner with them in private equity. VCS is Vista Capital Solutions, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. That's the fund that we're raising. We seek enhanced risk reward. We think some of the best risk reward in the market through proprietary investments. And importantly, we'll talk about how we protect the downside to ensure that we can get our capital back at some rate of return. And then finally, high quality performance driven by credit selection. We'll talk a little bit about why we love software so much. Talk about the fact that software has the lowest default rates of any sector in the economy. And then when you overlay our domain expertise and our credit selection, why we think this is such a prudent and resilient investment. Next slide, please.
Quick question from this end. This is Kwaku from Marquette.
I just wanted to do a quick time check. I know the trustees have had a pretty long morning, so just really wanted to quickly check on how long the actual presentation would be with the Vista team. I know 20 minutes was mentioned, but again, I want to be sensitive to any time constraints that we may have. So Chris, Fran.
I have about 4 minutes remaining.
Okay, perfect. So 4 minutes. So we just converted your 20 minutes to 4, but I know that
Okay.
you can cover all of those points in 4 minutes, high level.
Absolutely. And if the team has anything in specific in terms of slides they would like us to hit or points we'd like to make, I'm happy to take that. But it may make sense to flip forward to 15 with that in mind and just make sure that we touch on the terms quickly, which I think you have covered, but just in case there are any questions around that, we're raising a $750 million fund. Vista will put in at least 2% and likely more than that into the fund. The management fees, I know you've discussed a 1.25% fee if you skip down for first closers with a 6-month fee holiday, 20% carried interest over an 8% preferred hurdle rate, 6-year term, 3-year reinvestment period, minimal borrowings, and of course we will have co-investments and plan to set up a bit of a sidecar with Philadelphia as part of this program. If we flip back just one page, recognizing that Khalida just talked about diversity back to 14, and that people matter so much in terms of results. If we can go back to slide 14, please, Bill. I don't know if we still have Bill.
Yep, 14's up.
Oh, I'm sorry. For mine, it's stuck on 15. Just on the team. This is the team I wanted to highlight. This is the team that's getting it done. I think this is really critical. One of the things I would call out here is that we've got great continuity in our people. We have senior members who have been with us for 8 or 9 years since the founding of Vista Credit. We've been adding great talent and great skill to our team ever since. And just on the point of diversity, we take that very seriously. We think we're living our values. Quite a diverse team here, including very senior members in the investment committee of Vista Credit. If we flip forward to 19, Bill, if you don't mind, and again, I guess I have a little bit of a time lag, but if we flip forward to 19, when we were talking about the power of the platform and the integrated business that we run, what being part of Vista allows Vista Credit to do are very specialized transactions where we focus on companies that are owned and operated typically by the founder of these great software businesses. So where there's a lot of private lending happening to support the private equity and buyout industry, and that's a very good business. Our focus is a little bit different and a little bit unique. Far more than half of what we do is directly with, as I said, founders of software businesses, where we're helping them to grow, scale, and expand their business. And we leverage the broad Vista platform, all of the domain expertise to source these deals. We call them founder direct transactions. We're using the platform to source unique transactions, very proprietary to us. And importantly, we're using the broad platform to help underwrite, due diligence, and evaluate those transactions, thinking about downside protection, thinking about the resiliency of those investments. If we flip to 20 just quickly.
Yeah, and this should be the last slide.
Okay. In that case, maybe I'll take us to 27 because I know that, again, diversity has been an important point, and I wanted to talk about it specifically as it relates to credit. So I mentioned that where we focus are on these founder-owned, founder-led businesses. So on page 27, if I can get you there,
yep,
I wanted to call out that you can see the stats. I don't need to read them out to you. One of the things I love about my job is that we're dealing directly with these great entrepreneurs, and we have an opportunity to not only support these entrepreneurs and founders of businesses, but we have a great opportunity, I think, to support diverse founders, diverse management teams, diverse boards, help them grow their business, create jobs, and ultimately be incredibly successful and fulfill whatever their missions are. So I'll pause there. Don't know if there are any questions. I really do appreciate the time, and I personally appreciate this opportunity very much. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there questions from board members? Can you maybe just spend a minute talking about your returns and how they've been over time?
Yeah, I'm happy to, and I think the team has got some data on this. But we're currently investing out of what we call Vista Credit Partners Fund 3. The life-to-date returns on that fund sit at about 16%. It's the current fund that we're running. Our Vista Fund 2, which just moved through its investment period, is life-to-date returning about 11%. And then we've got some specialized SMAs with some other large state plans that are averaging in the mid to high teens of total returns. So we're quite proud and quite pleased with what the return profiles have looked like on several of our funds over the last 5 years.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, guys. If you can step out for a couple minutes.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Just let me know, Bill, when we're ready to go.
Yes, sir. And we're clear.
Great. Any discussion about this opportunity? Not. Is there a motion?
It sounds good.
Take that as a motion to approve staff's recommendation. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Thank you. Diana. Diana, you still here? Okay, I'll move on. Brian?
I approve.
Vanessa?
I approve.
Marcia?
Approve.
Nick?
Sorry, this is Diana. I was having trouble with my mic and my Teams is acting up, but yes, I'm still here and I approve.
Great, thank you. Nick?
I approve.
Roosevelt?
I have to abstain.
Okay, Paul?
I approve.
And Carol?
Approve.
Thank you.
Do we want them back in, Rob?
I guess we can just
come back in.
Sorry, Carol, what'd you say?
They don't have to come back in, do they?
They don't, up to them. You could just tell them that we approved. That takes us to the June.
Did you say all in favor, Rob?
We went through, we did a roll call.
Oh, okay, all right.
It carried.
I'm sorry. I think I'm in person, forgive me.
Okay, that takes us to the investment performance review.
Sure, thanks, Rob, and try to keep my remarks fairly brief. Let Marquette make a couple comments, and of course, we're happy to take questions. As we've discussed, this has been a very challenging investment environment, especially since the first of the year. That's reflected in the fiscal year to date returns, negative 7.5%, slightly ahead of the policy benchmark. We did send out some preliminary returns supplied by Marquette from some peer funds, which show us, at least a little bit above the median. and significantly above when you look at all public pension plans, a couple percentage points greater. The market this month.
So Chris, just to kind
Yep.
of put a point on that, I think that's saying that our allocation is working the way we would want it to.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Rob. And I think if you look at, and obviously as more data rolls in August and September, we'll be able to talk about this or, send the information out, over email. But, a lot of the funds that we're seeing perhaps return -6 or -6.5%. We had significantly higher returns than last year, more than making up for, slightly lower performance this year. I think if you also look, just on, I was going to say, notwithstanding the strong market rally, I mean, at least heading into this afternoon, it looks like it'll be the best month since November 2020 for U.S. equities, at least broadly. But if you look at the calendar year, numbers, I mean, the Barclays aggregate index, the bond index through the 26th is still down over 9%. International equity indexes are down anywhere from 17.5 to 18.2%. The S&P is down over 17%. And on a calendar year-to-date basis, the fund is significantly better than that. Still negative, but protecting significantly more capital than if we were invested, solely in the S&P or in a combination of domestic and international equities. So yes, the board's asset allocation, in our opinion, and I think in Marquette's opinion, is working. We don't have actionable concerns with any of the managers. Long-term performance is still strong. And the managers that have had a more challenging last, let's say, 3 to 6 months, not unexpected. Again, just to pick a couple briefly, Brandywine still has really good long-term numbers, and they're ahead of their benchmark for the fiscal year, and certainly over 2, 3, and 4 years. But they deal primarily on the international side and in currency. And as folks know, I mean, with the euro breaking parity or falling below the US dollar, not surprising that they would struggle a little bit. Similarly, MetLife, emerging market debt. And so again, no actionable concerns from our end with any of the managers. Last manager I'll mention, absent questions before turning it over to Marquette. Page 23 of your longer report, you can see that UBS turned in 3.8% positive return for the quarter, and getting closer to that benchmark on a year-to-date basis, 11.3%. So the turnaround story there continues to be positive, even as our distributions continue to come in from them. Kwaku, Dave, I don't know if you have comments, and of course, staff certainly happy to take questions.
Chris, I'll just leave it super brief. I think you've covered everything. The one aspect of investing that's always a tough one is the psychological aspect, right? So at the end of the day, these are really, really good returns, particularly versus other plans, whether it's versus the benchmark, whether it's versus the peer group, but ultimately these are negative returns. So there is the psychological aspect of getting over that hump. One of the things that's been helpful for me is just going back to basics, where you think about the asymmetry of the markets, right? So you have to essentially make sure that you're protecting well on the downside and participating on the upside for a less bumpy ride over a full market cycle. The asset allocation is doing that. And again, while we're looking at negative returns, we're performing significantly better than the market. We're performing, I won't, preempt the peer group rankings when they are finalized, but from preliminary numbers, we're showing up, very well versus the peer group as well. So again, while we're looking at negative returns, this environment is a proof statement that in a down environment, the portfolio is protecting much better than the market much better than many other plans out there. And ultimately, when the market does rebound, it means that we don't have to take as much risk as many other plans out there to kind of catch up to that buoy point. So just wanted to end with that, half full or positive outlook with respect to what our performance means in this negative environment. Happy to take any other questions, but that's the summary from this end.
Thanks, Kwaku. No, that was really helpful. Any questions for Marquette or for staff? Great. Thank you very much. That takes us to the staff report.
Sure. Just quickly, the securities lending income for the month, $165,685. $767,855 for the year to date, and over 51.1 million since inception of the program. Diverse and local AUM on a combined basis, just under 63%. Diverse and female managers broken out individually, 57.67. And local AUM increased slightly quarter over quarter to 9.54%. Upcoming board meetings, August 25th, September 22nd, and October 27th. And that concludes staff's planned remarks for the investment committee meeting today. Thank you.
Any questions? Any new business? Any old business? Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to have to, I won't be at the September board meeting, so we could change the date down or up. We can think about it, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. If there's no other new or old business, it's moved and properly seconded that the investment committee adjourned, and we are adjourned. We'll go into the full board. And it's been moved and properly seconded that the board ratify the action taken at the investment committee. I will call the roll. Diana?
Approve.
Brian?
I approve.
Vanessa?
Approved.
Marcia?
Approve.
Nick?
Approve.
Roosevelt?
Approve.
Paul?
Approve.
And Carol. Motion carries. I have an item of new business. Today is sadly the last meeting for Bill Rubin, who has been here, well, longer than I have, which says a lot. And he's been here as a board member, actually in two different roles, a board member, an alternate, and as a staffer. And in every role, he's made incredible contributions to the board and to all the participants in the fund. And I think we're all lucky that he's been around this long and unlucky that he's leaving. So I wanted to say a big thanks to Bill and open the floor up to anybody else who wants to say anything.
Congratulations, Bill. I don't know where you're going, but.
Can you spell the street name for me?
Thanks, Bill.
Yes. Thank you. When's your last day, Bill?
5 o'clock today.
So, of course, in typical fashion, Bill is supporting us right till the end.
5 o'clock.
Marcia, you must have wasn't listening when Rob said this is Bill's last day.
Obviously, I wasn't listening. I was thinking I could go around to his office and say hello next week.
Go right ahead. It's fair to be there.
I think you'll have to go down to the
Congratulations,
beach,
Bill, on your
Marcia.
retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bill, you're buddy. I appreciate what you taught me when I got on this board. I learned a heck of a lot from you, and I mean that. Thank you very much for your help, buddy. And I'm sure I'll see you, in the outside world. He's retired.
And an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. I appreciate everything that you've taught me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, so much. You know, we had this long ride. We've been on the board for a while. We've been in the union together. As I said before, we did some great things together on the board, not so great things, but all in all, everything was a lesson. You're going to be surely missed. Your contribution to the board and to the union was a great asset. So I'm really going to miss you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Enjoy
Thank you.
yourself.
I will. Thank you.
And Billy, having worked with you in various roles from my days as a lawyer to the board to my current time as executive director. I've seen you in various roles, and on behalf of the staff, I would like to thank you for all of your contributions and your dedication to the members of this pension fund on multiple ends. And you were integral. You were an integral trustee and board member for both 33 and the controller in the efforts to increase the health of this fund. And we're at that point now, and you got to stay here and see it through until the point where, we are a healthy fund and on a very good path. So this is part of the legacy that all of us will share, including you. So thanks for that.
Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you, Fran. Very well said. Anything else? Okay, any other new business? Any old business? Then it has been moved and properly seconded, and we are adjourned. Thank you all very much, and particularly you, Bill.
Everybody.